Law enforcement fights crime in our neighborhoods. The eyes and ears of the community can prove vital in these efforts. Stay vigilant. Your tip could crack the next case. This is a KLFY Plus exclusive. Acadiana Crimestoppers.
Welcome to this week's edition of Acadiana Crimestoppers, a show which partners law enforcement and community to help solve and prevent crime on our streets. In this episode, we will cover the crime of the week parish by parish. We will also talk Lafayette Parish's Most Wanted with Lafayette City Marshal Reggie Thomas. And while authorities in Acadia Parish search for answers in a 2012 homicide, we hear from Rustin Miller's family about what's life been like since his death and not knowing who his killer is. In Acadia Parish, this week's crime of the week is a cold case. Investigators need your help. It is the homicide that was committed back in 2012. Here's Sheriff K.P. Gibson with more information.
Detectives with the Acadia Parish Sheriff's Office are seeking the public's assistance with a cold case investigation of the homicide of Rustin Miller, 24 years of age. On December 13th of 2012 at approximately 1:30 p.m., deputies responded to the 4900 block of the Evangeline Highway southeast of Basile, where they located Miller, deceased, on his front porch. Rustin Miller was discovered to have had 2 gunshot wounds and blunt force trauma to his head. Investigators are seeking information on this cold case to help bring the person responsible for this crime to justice. If you have any information regarding this homicide, you're urged to call Tips Line at 789-TIPS or download our P3 app on your mobile device to report your tip. All calls will remain anonymous and can receive up to a $2,500 cash reward for information leading to the arrest in this case. Be the difference. For Crimestoppers of Acadia Parish, I'm Sheriff K.P. Gibson.
If you have any information on this crime, call Crimestoppers at 789-TIPS. You could earn up to a $1,000 cash reward.
And we will have more on that case coming up a little bit later in the show. The next crime of the week comes out of St. Martin Parish. Investigators there are searching for a suspect who stole a camper in the 300 block of Bayou Benoit Levee Road. The camper is a white 1999 Crossroads with Louisiana license plate J171830, which was stolen as it was parked on the levee on December 31st, 2025. Witnesses reported seeing a white male leaving the scene in a red Chevrolet pickup truck with a female passenger. Anyone with information regarding this theft is urged to call St. Martin Parish Crimestoppers at 337-441-3030 or submit a tip via the free P3 Tips app. Authorities in Lafayette are looking for some fugitives wanted for OWI, domestic violence, among other offenses. That's why we've invited Lafayette City Marshal Reggie Thomas once again to join us. And then we also have a special guest. I've done a lot of these segments, and you're always talking about warrants getting sent out by the judge. Well, we have the judge. Judge Saloom is here with us today, so we're going to talk a little bit more about that process. But firstly, we need to get into some people that are most wanted this week, Marshal.
Yes, this is a special show today. I'm excited to have the judge come over today. A lot of times we talk about people not showing up for court. Yeah. Today we're going to have the judge to actually talk about people that's not showing up. You know, when we do the warrants, we talk about fines and just respecting the court itself. And that's what we want to talk about today. So I brought the judge along with me, and so we're going to have a great show today.
Okay, we'll have that conversation in just a bit, but we have some business to take care of. We have 4 people that we need to broadcast on television for this week. So let's get it started, Marshal. Seth Charles Huval, OWI First Offense, committed in Lafayette, and he has an extensive criminal history.
And as usual, we talk about a lot of times with extensive criminal history, we talk about officers that make traffic stops on people like this. One of the things we look at is that this is somebody that did not show up for court. It's an OWI First Offense. It happened in Lafayette. I talk about people all the time when I say that you know somebody who was maybe injured in a drunk driving incident, and some people know somebody who was killed in a incident. So this is very serious. So if anybody know this guy and who he is and where he's at, just contact my office. You know, we have been doing this show for a little while, and one of the things that I talk about is the number of calls that we get. We want to continue to get those calls, so we're asking Acadiana to just contact us, and we will pick the person up. Or I always say, if you see yourself on here, then contact us or come to the city marshal's office and just turn yourself in. And sometimes we can reset it. Sometimes we could do other things. I always say arrest is not always the answer, but sometimes it is.
And if you're a guest on our show, hopefully it's the first and last time. So here's our second person here. Michael Jordan Fontenot, OWI First Offense, committed OWI in Lafayette. And like you've been saying, he failed to appear for a domestic abuse battery in St. Landry Parish.
Yes, this is not the only warrant he has. He has another warrant in St. Landry Parish. So sometimes it's not only in Lafayette, it's in St. Landry. So that's 2 times he did not appear for court. So one, very disrespectful. One, you're not showing up for court. So this guy is showing that he will not show up for court. So we're asking people, if you know who he is, to contact us.
Third person on our list for this week, Alan Roy, domestic abuse battery first offense, committed that offense in Lafayette, and he failed to pay the fine. So to Jalen Roy, it's time to pay your fine.
That's it. And I talk about this all the time. You know, domestic violence won't be tolerated. That's something that I say. OWI, domestic violence. Domestic violence first offense. This is somebody probably in your neighborhood. This is somebody that people probably looking at right now and know who he is. If you see yourself on here, to contact us. If you know who he is, contact us. The judge will talk a little later about failure to pay fines. You know, this is very serious. Domestic violence is very serious. So we're asking people, this is somebody in your neighborhood, I'm sure of it. Just contact us and we will pick him up.
Okay, our last person for this week, Kevin Rakeem Savoy Jr., domestic abuse battery first offense, committed that offense in Lafayette, and he also has an extensive criminal history.
And this is somebody we've been looking for a little while, so we're asking that if you know who this is, to contact us. When you see an extensive criminal history, that's somebody who's did not show up for court for this time, but know the system itself. Yeah. So if you know who this is, contact us, and we will pick this guy up.
All right, and then our person for this week that has a warrant that's cleared, Kendall Kishon Bernard.
And, you know, we put warrant cleared because you could clear warrants in many different ways, and that's why I tell people to contact us. You know, a warrant clear, you know, sometimes we make an arrest and we go to jail like most people. Sometimes you can get your warrant reset. Sometimes you can pay a fine. It's many things that you can do, but if you don't contact us, then you'll never get your warrant cleared and you'll always be looking behind your back. And we don't want that. We want you to contact our agency and we want you to move forward, and we want to move forward because we don't want you on our books and we don't want to continue to look for you.
Yeah, and then you might upset the judge, and that is one person that I'm sure you do not want to upset.
We hope not.
Judge Saloom, it's so great to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me.
We've been, again, doing these segments for a long time. He's always talking about people going in front of the judge and having to face a judge and people not showing up for court. So that's why we're bringing you in, just to kind of talk about it from your perspective.
Well, appreciate it. And this, as the marshal said, I know for Judge Bustani, myself, and the marshal, it is very, very frustrating to have people stare you in the eyes, you have a conversation with them, you impose an order of the court, and they just ignore it. And the excuses are numerous. I forgot, I got confused, I lost my paper, I didn't have any money. All of those are excuses, could be legitimate if they come to court and ask. And so as we get near the process, it's time we do something about it. We can no longer say, come in when you can. As the marshal indicated, he uses the word cleared. More likely than not, when they pick up somebody, if they have a legitimate reason, they bring them into the courthouse, we recall their warrant, reschedule them, and Marshal, I'd say at least half don't show up again. Wow. And that's kind of what we deal with. And what we try to tell people is, listen, we're dealing with traffic matters. We're dealing with misdemeanor matters. There are some very significant crimes in misdemeanors, as you said, domestic violence, drunk driving, those kind of things. But for a lot of people, it's their first and only offense. If they show up for court, if they take care of their business, their chance of going to jail is very minimal. Because what people forget is, for everyone that does it correctly, takes care of their programs, takes care of their fine, the only way we can be fair to them or go after the ones that turn their back on the law. And that's what we're getting ready to do. We're going to be pretty soon rounding up some people, especially in the domestic field and in the OWI field. And those that aren't in that field better start coming into court, check with the marshal's office. Their number is accessible. We have a website that people can check their court dates, and they can come in, but they better start cleaning out their missed court dates, because
we're given an opportunity right now that if you know you have a warrant, to contact us. But we will be doing a warrant roundup soon. And, you know, I've spoken to the judge, you know, he just said people are not showing up for court. So a warrant roundup means that a lot of deputies get together, we look at all the warrants we have, and we go throughout the city knocking on doors in the morning, knocking on doors in the evening, going to work. We don't have to do that if you turn yourself in, if you contact the marshal's office, if you come to court. So I think we're stressing, come to court. And that's what the judge is saying. The judge is tired of not seeing people on the docket. We need you on the docket.
And what makes it so silly is, I know Judge Bustani and I have the same kind of speech. If you have a fine to pay and you're short that week, honor your word. Show up for court and say, Judge, I can't pay this week. We've told them, if you show up, we'll give you an extension. No questions asked. We'll give you an extension. And if we have other problems, we can do community service. We can do other options. But I bet you I sign for fines 30 to 50 warrants a week for people not coming back, not honoring their word, not honoring their subpoena, and not showing up just to simply ask, I can't pay this week, Judge. Can you extend my time? And we always do.
And it sounds like, just from talking to you and the marshal, that you guys really try to work with people. But at the same time, if people are not going to show up, hey, it's time to crack down.
You know, I tell people in court all the time, it takes 3 seconds to put somebody in jail for 6 months. And under the law, I don't need a reason. If they're convicted of an offense, and that's within the sentence guidelines, I can order it. So whenever we take time to improve their well-being by sending them to programs, by giving them time to pay fine. In the old days, Marshall, when you started in police force and I started on the bench, if you didn't have your money when you said no contest, you went to jail. Yeah. We don't do that anymore. But in the old days, we did not have warrants for non-payment or non-appearance.
And the key is you have to show up for court. And that's what we're stressing today. We're saying that if you miss your court date, contact the marshal's office. If you have a court date coming up, show up for court. You know, it's so many things that the judge can do to help you out, to not put you in jail. But if you're not showing up for court, then you're going to wind up in jail.
And that's the number one cause, because it's not just fines. We talk about fines a lot because it's frustrating. But order somebody to do a 4-hour program. They won't do it in 6 weeks. 8-hour program. The difference between them being a free person and not going to jail and going to jail is a simple program. And they still won't do it. And then they don't show up for court. So now they're definitely going to jail because they're in violation of their probation.
So the warning is going out. If you have a warrant, get it cleared, show up to court, and take care of your business now.
Absolutely.
Well, Judge Shalom and, of course, Marshal Reggie Thomas, thank you guys both so much for being with us today.
Thanks.
And thank you for having us.
Yes, sir.
We'll be right back.
This is a KLFY Plus exclusive, Acadiana Crimestoppers.
Welcome back. Our next crime of the week comes out of St. Landry Parish. As detectives with the St. Landry Parish Sheriff's Office, including the Narcotics Division, they're looking for a wanted narcotics distributor. Here's Major Mark LeBlanc.
You're watching St. Landry Crimestoppers.
The St. Landry Parish Sheriff's Office and the Narcotics Division have approached St. Landry Crimestoppers for assistance in locating a wanted narcotics distributor. Investigating and arresting narcotics violators can be a time-consuming, exhaustive, and complex series of events. Every single part of every investigation must be coordinated and carefully scrutinized so as to result in successful prosecutions. This week, we ask everyone to provide any information possible in the attempt to locate Quentin Frank, black male, 6'3" and about 145 pounds. Mr. Frank has an outstanding warrant for distribution of Schedule II controlled dangerous substances. in this case, methamphetamine. Mr. Frank is on the run, has been informed by others involved in the illegal drug trade that there is a warrant for his arrest and may do anything to avoid capture. If you should spot him, do not approach. Call 911 or the St. Landry Parish Sheriff's Office immediately. To report anything anonymously, contact St. Landry Crimestoppers by dialing 948-TIPS, or remember to download our P3 app and tap the app to say it here and submit your anonymous tips. On behalf of the St. Landry Parish Sheriff's Office and Sheriff Bobby J. Guitros, thank you and have a blessed day.
If you have any information on this crime, call Crime Stoppers at 948-TIPS. You could earn up to a $2,500 cash reward.
Meanwhile, St. Martinville police need your help identifying the person in these pictures. If you know who this person is, call the St. Martinville Police Department at 394-3001.
This is a KLFY Plus exclusive, Acadiana Crimestoppers.
Welcome back. Detectives in Acadia Parish, through their Crime Stoppers report, is asking for help from the public solving a cold case from 2012. This case is the homicide of 24-year-old Rustin Miller. Renee Allen has more on the case.
A tragic situation that continues to pull at the heartstrings of Miller's family. A cold case to some, but a memory that forever burns in their hearts. Rusty is the nephew of Kathy Roban.
Never a dull moment. Always something. I mean, it was a big change because he blew my phone up every day. And I'd be like, I gotta work, son.
Acadia Parish Sheriff's Office is asking for the public's help.
I mean, there's always hope that they'll find who did it. That way he can peacefully rest, you know. But last we heard, they had nothing.
The Sheriff's Office explains that 13 years ago in December, deputies found Rusty on his front porch in the 4900 block of Evangeline Highway, just southeast of Bazille. Rusty had 2 gunshot wounds and blunt force trauma to his head.
Changes everything, changes your life. I mean, you'll miss him until you see him again.
Roban says her nephew would be 37 years old today. His new baby, who was 2 at the time he was killed, would now be 15 years old.
It was a lot to take in, but you know, it's going to eventually all come out. It's just one day at a time. When God says it's time, it'll all come out.
Renee Allen, KLFY News 10.
An Opelousas woman has been arrested in connection with a June 2025 shooting. Officials say Lauren Leger faces charges including accessory after the fact to second-degree murder, failure to render aid, and obstruction of justice. Authorities say she was allegedly present during the shooting death of David Jacquin on Jennings Road. Investigators say Jared Wells of Port Barre was arrested the day after the shooting for second-degree murder and related charges. Welcome back to Acadiana Crimestoppers. We are here with Sergeant Robin Green with the Lafayette Police Department and also Heidi Tweedell with LUS. And we're going to talk about something very important for today. We're always getting scammed.
Yes.
I feel like every minute of every day, but people are scamming now using the name of the police department, saying you have warrants in your name, things like that.
Yes.
You have to send money. LUS, they're using you guys as well, saying that they're going to discontinue power and things like that. So that's why we brought you guys on today to really talk about this problem. We'll start with you, Sergeant Green, just why this is a big issue.
So it's a big issue because most of the time it's our elderly people in our community that fall victim to a lot of these scams. And so we want to educate people. We want to try. We've been doing it for a while now, trying to get everybody in our community informed about scam calls, and so they don't become victims. A lot of times we do get calls that they receive the calls, and fortunately, they have not given any money, but unfortunately, we do have some calls where they have fell victim, and now they're out of thousands of dollars. You know, 10,000 to 60,000 we've actually seen from taking reports of people, and a lot of times we see that it's either someone dealing with a mental health issue or our elderly that are falling victim to these scams. And so we just want to get the word out and let people know what to look for.
So the scam is someone calls and says you have a warrant out for your arrest or something like that?
Yes, so a lot of the calls that we receive, it was last year, where they would say they were either a sergeant, a major with Lafayette Police Department, and that individual had a warrant out for their arrest. But that warrant could be taken care of and avoid going to jail if they would go. They'll usually tell them where to go, and it's usually a kiosk in a convenience store or a pharmacy like CVS or Walgreens, and they'll tell them to go in those places and use either Money Direct, Green Dot. Cryptocurrency is a big one that they usually tell people to use, or something even as a Walmart card.
And that is a big red flag. Anytime they're asking for any type of digital currency, you guys don't operate that way. You can show up at the police department if you do have a warrant, turn yourself in, or if you have to pay a fine, or you guys don't ask for anything on a card like that. That should be a red flag.
So no law enforcement agency is going to call you and tell you have a warrant and require any type of money. Usually we want people, if they get these calls, hang up and call either district court or city court and find out if indeed they do have a warrant. But Lafayette Police Department will not be calling you and telling you you have a warrant and you have to pay a certain amount to get this warrant recalled. That's just not how we operate.
I just can't believe they're actually using the name as well, saying we're with Lafayette. So this is not like a national thing. They're using Lafayette Police, so they're using local names and verbiage that people around here know.
They've even used the sheriff department. We've received calls where it's a deputy that supposedly calls and says that they have a warrant and that they need to pay and go to this certain location. And like I said, the cryptocurrency or Green Dot or just money cards. And I mean, like I said earlier, that's not gonna, our agency and other law enforcement agencies, that's not how we operate, and we don't do those types of things. And to make it more convincing to these people, they're using some type of app where they're using the numerics of either Lafayette Police Department or Lafayette Sheriff Department.
So they're like spoofing the calls.
Yes, absolutely. And so people see this number and they associate it with that particular agency, so they just automatically think that it's real and they have a warrant.
And it's all scare tactics, because what's scarier than there's a warrant out for your arrest? You can lose your freedom. The other one is you can lose your lights.
Right.
That's another thing people are really scared of. So they use LUS as well. So tell me a little bit about that, and that you guys don't operate that way.
No, we don't. So LUS will never call and demand payment over the phone from customers or threaten to disconnect services. You know, they'll use, fear tactics as well and say, we're going to shut off your lights. And with the temperatures that we've had last weekend and coming into this weekend, people can think, oh shoot, I'm not going to have, a way to heat my home with temperatures well below freezing. How am I going to keep myself safe? How am I going to keep my family safe? So they think, I have to do this. So we'll never do those things. We recently had one scammer call a customer and say, you need to go to CVS and pay your bill. We're not going to tell you to do that. Last year, we did implement a third-party system called Paymentus, where you can pay at stores like CVS. But if customers go through the process that's listed on our website by going to the portal that we have, that money is going to come straight to LUS. It's not going to go to a scammer. So if you do get a call requesting this information, hang up. Don't give any of your personal information. Call the police and report it, and then call LUS customer service at the number listed on the bill. That's 337-291-8280.
I was just about to say that since they're spoofing these calls, they can just call LUS right after. If you have any suspicion, which you should, just call LUS, and of course you guys will say, we have no idea what you're talking about.
Right, and people can also go and log into their LUS My account online and see a copy of their bill, and even when you first log into it, you'll see what your balance is. So if they say that you need to pay $500, you can go on your My account and see, well, my balance is zero or not even close to $500, and that's, that could be your first sign of knowing something's not right here.
And we just appreciate so much you guys being here, because a lot of the times once this money goes out, you can't get it back.
No, you can't. and even personal information. As she said, that's another thing that scammers will do. They'll ask you for your personal information, especially the scam calls where it's from a banking institution. They'll ask people to verify their social security card number. They'll ask them to verify their date of birth and their account information. And people not really realizing that, they're given that information, but the bank should have all that information already. So, like she said, hang up and call your banking institution, or hang up, call LUS, or call Lafayette Police Department, but do not disclose any personal information.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on and talking about this really important topic and warning people.
You're welcome.
We'll be back.
This is a KLFY Plus exclusive, Acadiana Crimestoppers.
Welcome back. Our partnership with law enforcement continues next week. Join us as we show you more wanted fugitives throughout Acadiana. Lafayette City Marshal Reggie Thomas will be with us once again. We'll see what other suspects he's looking for. Also, a one-on-one conversation with Major Mark LeBlanc with St. Landry Parish Sheriff's Office. He'll tell us about a cold case they need your help with as authorities continue to search for more clues. We appreciate you tuning in to Acadiana Crimestoppers exclusively on KLFY+. We will be back next week detailing the latest crimes to be solved and perps to bring to justice.